Give me 1 second, people. We'll be starting here in 1 second. And I promise you, you will not regret the wait. I promise you that. Alright. So today, everybody, if you haven't seen yet, if you haven't seen already, we will be reading horror stories. I used to be a little sensitive to horror stories. They used to get me. I can't deny the fact that they did used to scare me a lot. But nowadays, I'm kind of used to it. I do this for a living, so I gotta be. Give me 1 second here. Hello. Okay. We're looking good, fellas. So far, at least. We'll get started in 1 second here. Actually, we're waiting on a few people to join here. Excuse my voice crack or whatever that was. We're waiting on a few others to join you. But if you'd like to speed up the process, type in chat and we'll speed it up if we get enough votes. All right? Okay. Wow. It looks like we have somebody who actually wants to start now. Well, it's I can say it's not ideal, I'd prefer to wait a little bit before starting, but goodness gracious, that's a lot. Okay, nice. Look at that. 3 hours ago, somebody posted 15 disturbing true horror stories, and it seems to be working, doesn't it? Yeah, bro. I was actually I thought you could hear me. So yeah. Hey, look, can you hear me though? Can you type in my chat if you can hear me, bro? Cause I actually want to ask you a question. Do you think you would prefer to see this screen that you're seeing right now, right? Or we could go with we'll go with this screen. Look, these are two choices that I'm gonna make this a video, so you have the royalty, I guess you would say, of picking this. You have the specialty of picking this. So will we what are we thinking? Are we thinking about going with this? You thinking about going with this, or you thinking about going with the other one to keep it more of a calmer vibe? Like, would you like to see what I'm reading? Alright. Okay, that's perfect with me, and you can hear me well, can't you? Okay. Well, we're about to get started reading. I'm about to fix this up right here. Aside from fixing this up, excuse me, fellas. Alright, everybody. So, now we will be enjoying our THC. That's what they say, huh? Alright. I'm actually about to get started now. So I really hope you haven't read all of this. And I don't even know how well you can hear me. I'm gonna mic check that real quick actually. If I get started, can you hear me well from this distance that I'm at or not? Either way, I'm about to see, but What the heck is that? Oh, never mind. Actually, my bad. I'm sorry for that. Latency is ultra low, isn't it? Alright. So we'll continue on, okay, fellas? How are we feeling tonight, everybody? Are you ready to sleep? You looking like you ready to sleep? Tell me about it. If you're not ready to sleep, you joined the wrong video, the wrong live stream. That's a mistake in itself. You will end up falling asleep here. Alrighty, fellas. So I hope you haven't finished the story without me, but I'm here now. Alright. Today, we'll be reading a forum. Horror stories. Reddit Horror Stories is the forum we'll be reading today. I saw a strange bear last week at my hunting lodge. My junior year of high school, I had it all. A loving girlfriend, a big group of friends, a starting left guard position on my school's football team, and a great older brother. I lived a pretty good life. All that changed almost immediately after I turned 18. My brother died in a workplace accident while unloading his dump truck. Another truck turned into his cab and crushed him. Due to losing one of the most important people in my life, I soon became really quiet and withdrawn. All my friends, except two, cut me off. Thanks, Brent and Easton, for staying. And my girlfriend dumped me as well. But none of that hurt as much as when my mom looked at me and said my brother's name. My brother and I had always looked alike. The only difference was that when I was 6, I was almost 6 inches taller. Hearing my mom call me by his name completely broke me, and I turned to drinking and getting high. It was all I lived for. It helped numb the pain, and that I'm sure it did. My one saving grace was an Irish wolfhound puppy my friend Brent gave me. The puppy was completely white, so I named him Frost. He was the only one in his litter that survived the birthing process. I would take Frost, Brent, and Easton to my family farm almost every weekend. Excuse me, fellas. Sorry. The farm had been in my family since pioneers first came to Kentucky. However, these days, no one lived near the farm, and we could not maintain the animals or crops anymore. It still had acres of land around it, almost 600 acres in total, all full fields, woods, decrepit, crumbling houses, long abandoned. So, the farm turned into a hunting lodge for my family, but for me and my two friends, it was a sanctuary to deal with our problems in life and just get away from everything. Our sanctuary was disrupted last weekend. We were all spending the night drinking and watching Netflix while sitting in the living room when we started arguing about whether another college is like how they show it on the TV show Blue Mountain State, when all of a sudden, Brent shot up straight and started looking around. I looked at him and asked, "You good, man? Is the alcohol coming up?" Without saying a word, he jumped up and turned the TV off, and anything else making noise in the room. Easton got up and grabbed Brent, telling him, "Dude, the fuck is your problem? What are you?" "Shh." Brent said, "Did you hear that?" Easton and I went quiet. Brent said in a panicked voice, I swear there's something outside the cabin. After 10 minutes of calming Brent down, we heard 4 owl hoots, each one getting higher pitched and sounding less and less bird-like. My family has signals for different things, all consisting of bird calls. A quail whistle means I shot an animal. 3 crow calls means I'm over here. 4 owl hoots means predator, bring a gun. So hearing this, I had to go see if someone was out there. I couldn't stand the thought of losing anyone else. I would die before letting someone else go. But before I turned the door handle, Frost went berserk. He was jumping up and growling like a dog treeing a raccoon. The very next second, something hammered at the door on the other side. Then we heard something running away. That soon turned into 2 things running off the porch. There were a series of "what the fucks?" and Brent saying in deep gasps and stumbling over the furniture, "I know I heard something. I heard it in the woods. How did it get to the porch without us hearing it?" We finally managed to get upstairs and grab 2 of the guns my family keeps at the lodge. We stayed in the cabin all night, awake. We aren't a shitty version of Scooby-Doo. We're not going to go back and investigate something at 2 a.m. Staying up all night, we all agreed it might have just been some black bears. They're a problem in northern Kentucky, in the more rural areas. But if those were bears, it would have to be a bear that could run on 2 legs and smoothly transition into running on all 4s without breaking a stride. Or at least that's what his footprints suggest. We followed them the next morning. They led all the way to a field near the next lodge, where they just vanished. Not ran off or faded. In the middle of a muddy field, they just disappeared. We left the alcohol and weed, and we didn't stop once on the way home. And finally, after 4 hours of driving, we had made it back to our houses, and we all left without talking about it again. That was a week ago, but I can't stop thinking about it. I ain't a bear expert, but I swear that wasn't a bear. I'm gonna try and get Brent and Easton to go again sometime in the next couple of weeks. They may not want to talk about it, but I need to talk about it, and I will have to talk about it. Alright, first story wasn't too bad. It wasn't anything crazy, but it also wasn't terrible either. Let's find a new one. Let me fix my headphones. Alrighty, let's find a new story. It was 1995. We were moving to San Francisco next week, and I was home alone and had nothing to do, so I started packing. Now, before I continue the story, I get scared easily, and I'm guessing she knew that. Well, I was going through my closet when I found my old computer. I don't know. Thought it was just some old games I used to play. I was curious, so I plugged it in. The keys were stuck. Tab button was missing. When I turned it on, though, there was no games. No, nothing. Except this file, this saved file. Save 04. I don't remember putting saved files on my computers, not even the old ones. And if I did, it would have a name similar to what it was in For example, if I had videos, it would have been something like videos for later. I was curious, so I opened it, and my screen started glitching. This girl appears on my screen. She had black hair and a sweatshirt with a game logo. That's not what horrified me. Her eyes were pure white. She had no pupils. I freaked out and unplugged my computer, and then my phone lit up with a message from an unknown number that said it's too late. I blocked the number, and then the TV turned on, and when I walked in the living room, the girl was on the TV. Static was all over the TV. She stares at me and keeps getting closer and closer. She started climbing out of the TV and kept repeating, "Leave, leave, 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 leave." I grabbed my phone and called the police, but the signal was disconnected and my phone was bugging. I left the house and ran. The last thing I saw was her staring out my window. When my parents came home, the police were already there and the TV was broken. But there was no girl. The girl was gone. I don't know what happened, but I never saw her again. Sometimes I hear her voice when I watch the TV, though. These are not bad stories, you know. I can safely say that this is nothing that I would write, you know. Personally, I don't hate. It takes courage to build these type of stories. But they do have certain flaws that you can see easily. And I don't even write. I'm just somebody who listens and reads. Okay. I'm thinking about this one. These are all fiction, by the way, and all the credit is right here, temporary P8759 on the Reddit Horror Stories forum. So this cannot be copyrighted. Well, so we're on to the next story. Don't read it without me. I'm the reader. You just sit back, close your eyes, and listen, okay? Alright. If a thing sounds too good to be true, it is. This is a warning to everybody who sees this. One day, I met a man. I was at a hotel in a town that I lived in, and I decided to go to one of the local hotels to look for work. I took a bus to get there, and when I arrived, I went to the office. The owner was an Indian man that couldn't speak. They wrote on a chalkboard, "There is no work." I thanked them for their information and left. After I left, I knocked on the door where that man was. They opened the door and said, "You may come in." To be clear, I will not use my real name. This is stay anonymous. Because of that, I will use the name George. I asked the man what his name was. He said his name was Aaron. I said, "My name's George. You seem to be quite the man, Aaron, because you were alone here at the hotel. This could be a very dangerous place." Aaron says, "I'm aware of that, George, but I'm not concerned." We had a long conversation, actually. Eventually, I asked that man, "Since you were that type of person, would you ever consider disappearing? Also, if you do, how would you use the internet? And by all means, avoid the dark web." After I asked that, Aaron said, "See, this coffee mug here, this mug actually came from the dark web." After Aaron said that, I felt intrigued. We had a long conversation about the dark web. I left after that, and I took a bus back to the area where my house was. The next day, though, I thought about what happened. I am aware of what the dark web is. The dark web is the part of the internet you can't get to without the general web browser. You need a Tor browser, and you need to be cautious and have common sense. The dark web has illegal porn, disgusting videos, red rooms, and things you're better off never even thinking about. I considered going there again, though. I decided to, and I decided to just be cautious and aware to not do a stupid thing. I went to that hotel a few more times and had discussions with that man. One day, I went there and asked Aaron if he could explain a few things. Aaron answered that he could. He doesn't mind. My name is Aaron, and I work for a dark web agency as an agent, and I am familiar with the dark web from the inside out. I have devices that can access the dark web and have seen things you would never even imagine. I was thinking, damn, Jesus effing Christ, what are the chances of that ever happening? I asked Aaron if we could exchange phone numbers. He agreed, and I put the name Aaron in my phone and put the number below it. I left the hotel thinking, be cautious, use common sense. Eventually, Aaron moved out of the hotel and moved to the countryside of the area we were in. I called Aaron and asked him if we could have a few meetings. Aaron said yeah, and sent me his address and how to get there. I drove there and parked near a trailer park, and I walked down the road and saw Aaron lived in a mobile trailer. I knocked on the door and Aaron answered. We sat in the living room area, and Aaron explained quite a few things. Aaron said, I do jobs for people. It's $200 a job, but the way it works is I scan the money and it is transferred into Bitcoins. That means $200 becomes 200 million in Bitcoins. This trailer has an AI called Aves. I am the only person who can hear Aves and speak to him. I own an organization called the LRA. That stands for Liberation Resistance Army. The LRA runs the dark web. That means I own and run the dark web. When I left that day, I was thinking, Jesus Christ, that is mind-blowing. I considered everything and decided to have Aaron do a few jobs. The thing is, there are places I am banned from. I was thinking, if Aaron did things to change how that place worked, I wouldn't be banned anymore. The first thing I had to do was save up cash. I set aside a few $100 and I met Aaron on the street to pay him. After the first time, I waited to receive a phone call. About a week later, Aaron called and said that the man is no longer a part of the organization. I felt amazed. I felt relief. But the thing is, that was just the beginning. I drove to the trailer park where Aaron lived a few more times and paid him occasionally to do jobs. Every time I was there, Aaron always said, I own the LRA. There were times Aaron said there are trillions of members of the LRA and we own the world. There were other times Aaron told myself that I was in the military. Got shot on the abdomen and my bladder does not work because of that. As time passed, I hired Aaron to do a few more things. It was never cheap. One job was actually $400, and that was rough for me at the time. There were times where Aaron had told me, you have a fee. You have to pay to make things stay the way they are. Later, Aaron told myself, I changed the name of the organization to URA because I don't agree with the president. That stands for Umbrella Resistance Army. If you are a part of the URA, you are a ghost. You have no identity. You don't exist in any database in the entire world. You are invincible. You can't get arrested. The thing is, I believed him. I was thinking, damn, this is amazing. This is incredible. As time passed, I hired Aaron to do a few more jobs. The total amount I spent was unfathomable. One day I went to Aaron's trailer again to do one last job. Aaron always said, use the word job to avoid conflict. To be clear, when Aaron said job, he meant assassinate. Aaron always said, never ever use the word kill. I know what I did was wrong. People always say the best revenge is living the best life possible. I completely agree with that. Every time I saw Aaron, He always said I am a legal assassin. I am the only assassin in the entire country. When I assassinate somebody, I kill them. However, I choose to, and afterwards, a replicator of that person is made. That is an organic robot that knows everything that person knew. After a few months, the replicator is gone, and a clone of that person is made. When a clone is made, another person's consciousness is stitched to the clone. There was one time Aaron said, "I've killed somebody," and Morgan Freeman's brother Thomas Freeman was stitched to the clone. I stupidly believed him. That day, I was there. Aaron had a bag of M&Ms. I asked him, "Why are you eating that?" "They're good food. I own Hershey, actually. All Hershey products are healthy." "I will explain, George. Hershey products are healthy. I eat just only organic, healthy food. Hershey's healthy. Reese's cups are just peanut butter and cocoa. Soda is just flavored water. Little Debbie products are healthy. A U and a circle on a food label means it's healthy." But the thing is, Aaron was lying. Soda's just carbonated water with artificial flavoring, caffeine, and sugar. Hershey products are garbage. Garbage. Little Debbie products. Absolute garbage. You and a circle on a food label does not mean the food is healthy. That means the food is kosher. That means not made with animals or by animals. But I will get to that idea later. As I was saying, I paid Aaron to do quite a few jobs. I was thinking the whole time, wow, this is actually happening. I'm changing the world. However, I noticed that things never changed at all. I went to the internet and saw that those people still worked at those places. Rules that were there before were still there. It was as if nothing ever happened. Eventually, Aaron moved again. He was still in the countryside, but he lived in a different facility. The thing is, Aaron always claimed to be off-grid. After Aaron moved that time, he moved to a landlord's apartment and lived in a spare room and paid that landlord cash each month to be in that place. At about that time, I received a phone call from Aaron. Aaron said, "George, you need a URA ID. This ID gives you infinite power. You can drive any vehicle. You can do anything with the ID. When you get the ID, you will receive a URA uniform, a phone, and a gun from the URA. It will be $200. That gun can penetrate concrete." I informed him that will never ever happen again. I will purchase the gun, phone, ID, and the uniform, but never ever hire him to do a single thing ever again. I drove to Aaron's new place and paid him for the items. I left, hoping that they would arrive soon. A few months passed. Called Aaron asking where the package was. He never responded. A year passed, and I had had enough. I drove to where Aaron lived, knocked on the door. Aaron didn't answer, but a different man answered. I asked where Aaron was. They said Aaron moved out, actually. I asked them if they knew where. They told me that he moved out to a large town, about 40 minutes away. A few days later, I did more research. I looked online and I saw those people were still at those places. Nothing had changed. I decided to get to the bottom of this. There was a neighbor of Aaron's who had a son where I lived. I went to their house and knocked on their door. Their son answered and said, "What is it, George?" I answered, "I have a few questions for you. We discussed Aaron. We discussed things about Aaron, and I found out the truth while I spoke to that man's son. I told him everything that Aaron had told me. He answered. He told me, "You would lie too." Aaron does not own a company. He was never in the military. That liar does not own Hershey. I had made quite the mistake. I found out from the research that I did and from that man's son that everything Aaron had said was a lie. Aaron does not own a company that runs the dark web. That liar does not own Hershey. He is not a legal assassin. There is no such thing as a legal assassin. Every single solitary thing Aaron told me was a lie. Aaron is nothing but a liar that does nothing but lie and steal from people. I stupidly believed him because he said he owned the dark web. I did the math and realized Aaron had stole from me over $4,000. During my discussion with that man's son, I considered everything said and realized it all sounded ridiculous and sounded too good to be true. I could have used that money to pay bills, buy food, or maybe even do other things. I was obviously mad because of what I hadn't realized. I was lied to, taken advantage of. I had made a horrible mistake. Aaron's a liar. Everything Aaron says was a lie. When Aaron talks, Aaron lies. I told that man's son I will not get mad or obsess over this. I will bring Aaron to justice and retrieve. Allow me to take a hit real quick before we finish this story and continue with the next one. Actually, I think this. Alright. I'm going to be reading these for over an hour. I'm actually really feeling this. Alright. I told that man's son, I will not get mad or obsess over this, but I will bring Aaron to justice and retrieve that cash. A few weeks later, I saw the man who had moved to where Aaron lived in the countryside. He said, "George, hey, it's been a while. How you been?" I said, "I've been good." He said, "Well, I just came up to talk to you because I recently learned that Aaron moved to Florida." I thanked him for that information as I'd gone to his house a few days ago and I didn't think he had remembered me. Well, turns out he had paid his mother over $900 to drive him to Florida and drive herself back here. But I knew Aaron lied to him because Aaron is a liar. He is pure evil. I thanked him for the information and left. Afterwards, I did research on ways to find people and bring them to justice. I will end this. Now, I made a terrible mistake. I trusted a liar, and he stole from myself an unfathomable amount of money. I learned a lesson, and I will never ever make that mistake again. Aaron is evil. He is a thief. Aaron is a liar. Everything Aaron says is a lie. Every single thing. When Aaron talks, he lies. Aaron is nothing but a disgusting thief that does nothing but lie and steal from people that live off of SSI because Aaron's bladder naturally does not work. I am aware Aaron might see this. If you see this, Aaron, go to hell. You liar, thief, bull, monster. Thank you for listening and for letting me be able to cope with this. Also, always remember, if something sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Yeah, whoever wrote that temporary P, copyright who, bro? You're not gonna do nothing to me, bro, because I know what I'm doing and I'm adding to it and whatever, da 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 da. Man, these stories trash, bro. Don't play with me, bro. These stories trash. These stories trash. Hold on, let me see if I can find part 2 to this. Taps on 420. Nah, I can't. Actually, I can find it. I know how to find it. Alright. As I said before, welcome everybody. Welcome. I hope everybody in here is ready and deady to go to sleep. And I hope I can assist with that. Well, I really hope you're able. I really hope you're able. I really hope you're able to get some nice sleep. Okay. All right. Let's get started with the next story, everybody. You know, it's my favorite thing to do. I really enjoy reading these stories. I should do this more often. I found a box of classified files hidden inside an abandoned ranger station. I should have not read them. I've never posted anything like this before. I'm not the kind of person who shares things on the internet. But I have been carrying something for almost 30 years, and I cannot do it alone anymore. In 1996, I was working as a contractor in northern Arizona. It was mostly repair work. Cabins, fire towers, old ranger stations. You know, the kind of jobs nobody else wanted because they were too far from anywhere and paid next to nothing. In October in that time, I got a call from a parking service asking if I could spend 2 weeks repairing a ranger station deep in the mountains. I said the place had been abandoned since the late 70s. Nobody said why. The station was about 40 miles from the nearest paved road. No power, no phone line, just a dirt track through pine forest in Canyon County. The building was worse than they described. Half the roof had collapsed. The walls were black with mold, rat nests and everything. And the place felt wrong from the moment I'd stepped inside. Not haunted. I don't believe that it was haunted. Just heavy. As if the air had not moved in a long time. On the third day, I was pulling the rotten shelving from out the station office. Behind the shelves, I found a door. Narrow, set into the wall like it was built with the station and covered up later. The hinges were rusted shut. I had to use a crowbar actually to get it open. Well, behind the doors was a small room. It's no bigger than a pantry. No windows, concrete walls, which was strange because the rest of the station was timber frame. Somebody had built this room differently, and it was on purpose. In that room, there was a metal desk, a broken chair, and on the floor, a wooden box. The box had no label, no lock, but it was heavy. Inside were dozens of file folders. Some typed on official Park Service letterheads. Some had been written on notebook paper. Some were just scraps folded and tucked in. The oldest file, dated, was from 1931, and the most recent was from 1982. Over 50 years of reports, all hidden in the same room, all passed down from one head ranger to the next, and every single folder had the same stamp across the front, red ink block letters. Do not file. I didn't read them that night. I didn't read them all that night. I read 5 or 6, sitting on the floor with the work lamp plugged into my generator. 5 or 6 was enough. They were incident reports that somebody had decided should not exist. Disappearances, actually. Hikers, campers, hunters, families. People who had walked into the back country and did not come back, or who came back wrong, miles from where they'd been, confused, injured, unable to explain what had happened, and the details kept repeating. Camps found intact, gear untouched, and the boots, always the boots, left behind in the tent or beside the bedroll, placed neatly, like the person had taken them off, set them down, and walked into the dark, barefoot. Not once, not twice. Actually, it happened across decades, across different parks, different rangers writing the reports years apart. None of them knowing the others had seen the same thing. But someone knew. Someone collected these files and hid them behind a wall and stamped every single one of them with the same words. I should have put the box back. I should have sealed the room and driven home. But instead, I loaded the box into my truck. Something happened on my last morning at that station. I woke up early, maybe 5:30. Stepped outside and I looked down at the ground after I had gotten ready. The dirt was soft. I'd been tracking my own boot prints in and out for days. I knew what my prints looked like. These were not mine. These were bare feet. Bare footprints starting at about 10 feet from the door. Not coming straight toward the station, leading away toward the tree line at the edge, part of the clearing. It had crossed the clearing in a straight line and disappeared into the trees. There were no prints coming back. I was 40 miles from the nearest road. I had not seen another person in 4 days. I finished the job. I didn't sleep well. And when I drove out, the box was still in the back of my truck. I never handed it over. I never told anyone what I found. Not until now. I had carried this box out for almost 30 years. I had gone back to it dozens of times, each time reading more and more files. I'd compared all of them, found patterns that span decades and stretch across the country. The boots, the distances that do not make sense, the caves that nobody wants to talk about, and the people who tried to report what they saw and were quietly moved aside. People are still going missing every single year. Same way, in the same kind of places. Since then, I started recording myself reading through these files. All of them, in order. I need there to be a record that cannot be stamped and buried. You can find these recordings on YouTube if you search for The Buried Archives. I do not know if anyone will listen, but they are there. I will change the names, the locations, the dates. Some of the people in these files still have families, but the stories themselves stay, because somebody should know. These are the buried archives. Fortunately for the reader, this was posted 12 days ago, and it seems like we have a part 2. Maybe. Yes, we do. We have up to part 4. Well, let's find the part 2 first. Here's the nicer part too. Alright. Continuing on with the part 2. Something's been happening to me recently. Since my last post, I've not been able to stop going through the box. I pulled all 47 folders out and spread them across my garage floor. I grouped them by the decade, then by the location, and then by what happened. I haven't been sleeping. I wake up in places I didn't fall asleep in. Twice at my back door. Once in my garage standing over the box. Last night, I woke up in my driveway with dirty feet and no memory of going outside. There are cuts on my hands that were not there before, and there is a smell on my skin that will not wash off. Earthy, sweet, like something from underground. I need to tell you what I found in the files because I think it was connected to what is happening to me. The first file I read was from 1974. Colorado. A ranger named Makin was sent to find 4 missing hikers. He found their camp intact, tent standing, gear stowed, boots inside one of the tents, placed neatly side by side. All 4 packs were there, wallets, keys, everything. Everything was there. 4 people got up in the middle of the night and walked into the darkness without shoes. 2 days later, 2 were found 6 days later, 17 miles away, on the other side of a mountain ridge. Neither were wearing shoes. Neither could explain what had happened. One had deep cuts on his hands with limestone fragments in the wounds. When I read about the cuts, I looked down at my own hands. I had the same cuts. I almost threw up. The ranger had seen this before. The same ridge, 3 times across 16 years. He requested a cave survey. The airflow coming out of the entrance was strong, like the mountain was breathing. They denied the survey. Hold on. Let me adjust myself. Sorry. Is you still listening, bro? My bad, bro. I had to fix my seating, bro. Alright. Let's continue. The ranger had seen this before. Same ridge, 3 times across 16 years. He had requested a cave survey. Upon reaching the cave, the airflow coming out of the entrance was strong, like the mountain was breathing. They denied the survey, sealed the cave, and reassigned him to a new desk. Stamped a file. Do not file. Hidden inside that folder, I found a cassette tape. 1967, Kentucky. An interview with the wife of a missing ranger. She described her husband finding a cave entrance. He became obsessed. Went back every single day. Cuts on his hands with limestone dust. Then he started waking up at night, standing outside the cabin, barefoot, facing the directions of the cave. I stopped the tape, 'cause I had been waking up the same way, barefoot, my back door. Ha. I ain't even know you still. I see why, bro. I would have too. I would have too. Alright. Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. Drank me some coffee earlier, so I'm feeling this. But I kind of mellowed out a little bit, so let's continue. I stopped the tape because I had been waking up the same way, barefoot at my back door, staring outside. The exact same thing. After the interview ended, the recorder kept running. The interview said to someone else in the room. That is the fourth one this year, same as the others. The boots, the cave, the dark, the cuts on the hands. My bad, y'all. Oh my fucking shit. Alright, chill. Mellow out, mellow out, mellow out. Alright. Then the tape destroyed itself. On the back, someone had written 5 locations across America, all on limestone, and the one word circled twice. Limestone. The smell on my skin, I found out what it was. A file from 1951, Marble Fort, California. Scientists sent into the cave in Sierra Nevada. At 600 feet, they found something growing on the walls. Dark residue of dry limestone. No water, no light, feeding on the rock itself. The deeper they went, the thicker it got. The geologist wrote that it smelled earthy and sweet, like a forest floor in autumn. That is the smell on my hands. That's the exact smell, I'm sure of it. From something that grows 600 feet underground in a cave, 500 miles from my house. It's on me, and I've never stepped foot inside that cave. Unless I'd been going somewhere at night that I do not remember, maybe. The third man on the survey turned back alone. When the others returned, he was gone. Boots placed neatly at the entrance. The lab could not identify the substance from the walls. Samples have been destroyed. Report buried. Cave sealed. The geologist wrote, I do not believe the cave took him. I believe it called him. And I believe he went willingly. Because I almost did too. I am being called. I can feel it. The exact pool the geologist described, that the ranger's wife described, that every person in these files experienced before they disappeared. Marble Fork is 8 hours from my house. I packed my truck this morning. I did not want to go, but I cannot stop the pool, and I am afraid that if I do not go on my own terms, I will end up there anyway some night without shoes. I will update when I get back, if I make it back. Last night I woke up outside again. This time, my keys were in my hand. These are the buried archives. That is that of part 2. And now we will continue with part 3. Actually, what, you fucking with that story or not, bro? Tell me that now. Cause I'm not gonna lie, I'm not really messing with the story. I'm sorry. No, actually, I'm live and I'm gonna keep this so it's gonna turn into a video. So, I mean, theoretically speaking, for the rest of the viewers, I should finish it. Do I want to finish it? Not really. I'm not really messing with the story. I don't really get the point of the story. And I want every story I read to be good, be a good story. I don't want to waste my time reading some bullcrap that my viewers will not like. This will end up being a video, bro. What you think, bro? You think I should continue reading that story, or start on a new one? Creepypasta. I'm thinking about a creepypasta, bro. Ooh, alright. Alright. I'm gonna take your word for it, bro. But first of all, let me make sure that everything on my end is good. Okay. Everything sounds good. Everything sounds alright. Alright. Come on. I'm gonna finish it for my viewers, and then I'm gonna continue on with the next one, okay? Alright. Part 3, everybody. I drove to Marble Fork. I said in my last post that I was going. Some of you told me not to. You were right. What I'm going to tell you is what happened, and you can decide for yourselves whether I am losing my mind or whether something in those mountains is real. I left before sunrise. I do not remember deciding to leave. I remember sitting in my kitchen at 4 in the morning staring at the route on my phone. And then I remember being on the highway with the sun coming up behind me and the desert flattening out ahead. The hours between those two things do not exist. They're just gone. Like someone cut them out. That should have been enough to make me turn around, but it was not. 8 hours west through Arizona and into California. The landscape changed. Desert to scrubland to grass to mountains. The Sierra Nevada kept getting bigger the closer I got, and the air changed. Even through the vents on my truck, I could smell it. That earthy sweetness. The same smell that has been on my skin for weeks. Except out there, it was not faint. It was thick. Like walking into a room where it had been building for a very long time. The trailhead was not on any modern map. I'd used coordinates from the 1951 survey report. A wide spot on the dirt end of a fire road. Overgrown, no signs, no indication anyone had been there in decades. I sat in my truck for 10 minutes after I turned the engine off, waiting for a reason to leave. Nothing came, so I got out. The trail was barely visible. Nobody maintains a trail that nobody's supposed to walk on. 90 minutes through the dense forest. And then I found it. The limestone shelf, 30 feet high. Gray, white rock rising out of the slope like a wall. I stopped walking the moment when I saw it, because I recognized it. Not from any photograph. There were no photographs in the file. I recognized it the way you recognize a place from a dream. The shape, the angle of the light. I'd never been to California, but standing at that base of the shelf, I felt like I was remembering it rather than seeing it for the first time. The cave entrance was at the base, sealed with concrete. A rough cap, maybe 4 feet across. Old, decades old. Cracked. And from the crack, hair was moving. I could feel it on my face from 6 feet away, a steady, cool current pushing outward, like the mountain was exhaling. slow, and constant. Same thing the geologist described in 1951. Same thing the ranger's wife described in Kentucky. The mountain was breathing. I crouched for the crack. I should not have. But it felt like the most natural thing in the world. Like I'd driven 8 hours specifically to kneel in the dirt and put my face near the hole in the ground. The smell was concentrated. Not the faint version from my garage. The source. And it was coming through a 2-inch crack in a seal that has been there for over 70 years. Whatever is growing down there has not stopped. This is where it gets difficult to explain. I was crouching by the crack. I remember the air on my face. I remember leaning closer. And then I was standing 30 feet away. I don't remember standing up. I do not remember walking. The light felt different, like the sun had moved behind the trees. I checked my phone. It was after 5. I lost almost 2 hours. My hands were dirty, fresh scratches on my palms, limestone dust in the wounds. My knees were covered in mud. Not brown surface mud. Dark gray, almost black, cold to the touch. About 15 feet from the sealed entrance, there was a second opening. Smaller. Not on any map, but the edges were fresh like it had been opened recently from erosion or rockfall. Hold on, bro. I got a question for you real quick before I continue. Would it be ideal if I turned on the rain and stuff? Would you fuck with that or not? Alright, everybody. Now we can continue. I like now. I like this. I like this. Alright. So. About 15 feet from the sealed entrance, there was a small opening. Not on any map. The edges were fresh, like it had opened recently from erosion or rockfall. The dirt around it was disturbed, scuffed, like someone had crawled through. I looked at my knees again. I don't think I was outside for those 2 hours. I think I was under. I drove home through the night. Did not stop. Did not eat. Somewhere around midnight, on a straight highway through the desert, my hands moved on their own toward the steering wheel, trying to make a turn that did not exist. I later checked the map. If I had turned where my hands wanted, I would have been turning straight toward a limestone canyon. I got home before sunrise and went straight to the garage. opened a file that I had not read before. A ranger's report from 1947. A man found near a cave entrance. Alive, but unresponsive. Covered in mud. Scratches on his hands. Missing for 3 days. When he finally spoke 2 weeks later in the hospital, he only sat in pain. He said he could still hear it breathing. I put the file down. I looked at my hands. I can hear it too. Not with my ears. It's more like a pressure. A constant awareness that something is there underneath everything. And it knows I came to visit. I should not have gone tomorrow before, but I also know that I'm going back. Because every night since I got home, I've woken up back in my back door again, barefoot, hand on the handle, and each night I am getting a little closer to opening it. If I say they sealed the cave to protect the public, I cannot believe that is true. They were not trying to keep people out. They were trying to keep it in, and that morning before the seal was cracking. I've been recording everything, every file. What happened the morning before, what's happening to me. You can find the recordings on YouTube if you search for the buried archives. If I stop posting here, you know why. These are the buried archives. I look you want to read another one there, but if somebody watches this, then whatever, I'm looking to read it. What's my... Kind of bad, isn't it? Kind of shitty. My thumbnail's kind of shitty. Alright. We might end up changing it later on. I don't know. When the live is published as a video, maybe. It's 3:50 a.m. What's the title looking like? Sure, that works. Alright. I need to tell you about a folder that I have been since I got back from Marble Fork, I've not really left my house. The pool that I described before, the one that it took me to California, did not go away when I got home. It just changed directions. It does not point west anymore. It points down, at the box, at the next file, and the next. I sleep maybe 3 hours a night now. I've lost weight. 2 days ago, I caught my reflection in the bathroom mirror, and I did not recognize myself for a second. I looked older than I am. Something has been draining me. But that is not why I'm writing tonight. There is a folder in the box that I've been avoiding for 30 years. I did not realize I was doing it till last night, every time I go through the folders. This one folder ends up at the bottom of the pile. I push it aside. I reach for it and then pick up a different one instead. Done this dozens of times and never once noticed, like my hands knew not to touch it before my brain could ask why. Last night I caught myself doing it. I stopped, and I picked it up. My hands started shaking. Not from fear, from something else. My chest got tight all of a sudden, and my throat closed. I felt like I was about to cry, and I had no idea why. I read files about people vanishing, about rangers being silenced, about things growing in caves that should not exist. None of that made me cry, but holding this folder did. The file is a missing person report. November 1978. Same district as the station where I found the box. The subject is a seasonal ranger, female, Ellen Voss, 31 years old. Her station was 11 miles from Station 11C, where the ranger named Makian worked, the one whose reports kept showing up in this box. The report is short, almost bare, like someone wrote the minimum required and stopped. Ranger Voss failed to report that first shift on November 9th, 1978, a welfare check was done. Be patient with me, please. A welfare check was found her station empty. Her belongings were still inside. A pack on the hook, radio on the desk, jacket over a chair. Her boots were beside her bed, side by side. The search covered a 10-mile radius. No tracks, no nothing, no clothing, no sign of an animal or foul play. On day 4, a team member noticed that a cave entrance about a mile from the station showed signs of recent disturbance near the opening. Scuff marks, disturbed soil. It was locked. No cave search was authorized. 1 mile from the station, a cave entrance with scuff marks, and nobody went in to look? The search was called off on November 16th. Ranger Voss was classified as a voluntary departure. A woman left her boots, her pack, a radio, and her jacket, and walked into the wilderness barefoot in November, and they called it voluntary. The file is stamped, "Do not file," like all the others, but at the bottom of the last page, in pencil, in handwriting that does not match the report, someone wrote one line. She did not leave. She was taken. The handwriting is small and careful. I have seen it before. It matches the cassette tape label. It matches notes and other files. It's Mackin's handwriting. There's one more thing in the folder though. Tucked behind the report, not clipped or stapled, just slid in loosely like someone just added it later. A photograph. Small, black and white. The corners are soft and rounded like it's been handled many times. 2 people standing in front of the ranger station. Late summer, by the light, the woman is in uniform. She's smiling. Not a big smile, the kind you give when someone you care about is holding the camera. The man beside her is also in uniform. He is not smiling. He is not looking at the camera. He is looking at her. Like she is the only thing in the frame that matters. I stared at that photograph for a very long time. I have read dozens of these files. Names, dates, and clinical descriptions of lives that ended without explanation. None of them felt the way this photograph did. Somebody took this because they wanted to remember a moment. And somebody put it in a folder stamped, "Do not file," and hid it behind a wall. She was 31. She had a station of her own. She was private, well-lived, and one night she took off her boots and walked into the dark, and nobody ever found her. Nobody ever looked hard enough. I don't know why I'm crying. I never even met this woman. I never even heard her name before last night, but sitting here holding this photograph, I feel like I have lost something that I cannot identify. Like there's a hole in my chest that was always there, and I'm only now noticing it. This feeling does not belong to me, or it should not. I keep thinking about the man in the photograph. I cannot see his face clearly. The image is small and slightly out of focus, and he is turned toward her. But something about the way he stands, the set of his shoulders, the way he holds his weight. Sorry, please, I'm sorry, I had to get my voice right. It feels familiar. The way a place feels familiar when you've dreamed about it, never been there. I've looked at this photograph for 3 hours, and I cannot stop. Mockin's name is in 3 more folders in this box, and I had been avoiding those 2. After tonight, I do not think I can avoid them anymore. I just wish I knew why this woman's face makes me feel like I've lost something I never had. I've been recording all of this, every file. I need there to be a record that cannot be stamped and buried. If I stop posting, you know why. These are the buried archives. This story is from Deleted. A few years ago, I was walking through the woods, off the beaten track of the wood, and I smelled this really overpowering sweet smell. Being nosy, I pulled back the undergrowth to have a look, and I found a dead body. The guy had been there for a while. He wasn't looking too great. It was all swollen and green and black with various running bits. The local wildlife had also been dining well for a few days. I called the police and who told me to wait with the body until they arrived. Being in the middle of nowhere, it took a while for them to arrive and it got dark. And I was just sat there in the dark waiting for a long time. It turned out he had committed suicide. For a long time afterwards I had dreams about him. And he would talk to me not nice things. Mainly about how he was angry I disturbed his resting place and he wanted me to kill myself. Probably just my imagination, but all pretty disturbing stuff at the time. He still turns up in my dreams from time to time. And no doubt he'll leave tonight after typing this. This one is also by the leader, both 13 years ago. About 2 years ago, I was driving home from a family reunion pretty late at night, and the drive was about 2 hours. I didn't stay the night because I had to be back for work the following day. Most of the drive was on roads with dense bushes and trees on either side. The real creepy ones you see a lot in movies. Anyway, I had been driving about 45 minutes and I was starting to get really tired. You know how sometimes you just become really tired out of nowhere? Yeah, well, that happened to me. And I knew I wasn't gonna last. But I didn't come across any place that I felt I could park and safely sleep. Well, it became clear that I wasn't gonna find a place to pull up and my tiredness wasn't going away. So I did something very questionable. I pulled over to the side of the road onto the grass and behind some bushes to try and hide my car from anybody else who was going to come past the roads. The roads weren't empty. I came across another car every few minutes or so. I made a mental note that the time was 11:22. And then I fell asleep. Sometime later, I was awoken by a scratching sound. I looked at the clock. 11:50. The sound stopped after a few seconds, and because I still felt extremely tired, I didn't bother looking around. I simply went back to sleep. I was later awoken by the same sound, but it's now 12:40. This time, it really freaked me out, because the sound didn't stop. The thought ran across my mind that it was just an animal inspecting my car. But why would it return almost after an hour, after it left the previous sound? I looked in the rearview mirror and just managed to catch a glimpse of something running away in the forest. Now, at the time, I thought it was just a damn hook killer, you know, the one that scratched the couple's car and then slaughtered the guy whenever he got out to investigate, right? Yeah, fuck that, I thought to myself. So I got the hell out of there. There was a bend no more than 100 yards up the road, and as I came around it, there was a fucking car parked off to the side of the road with the driver's side door open. I slowed down just to see if anyone was in there. There wasn't. And then I catched another glimpse in my rearview mirror. I didn't see anything. And then all of a sudden, this guy comes sprinting around the corner, starts screaming at me, shouting stuff. Hey you, get the fuck out of your car now. I knocked the fuck out of there and sped off. I never saw the guy again. Moral of the story, don't fucking sleep on the side of a deserted road. I was stationed in England for about 3 years. I worked in a secure facility, which during the day was always buzzing with people. Military, contractors, and, government civilians. It was a fenced-in facility on the base, which was also fenced, and had a few different layers of security in the building itself you had to get through. On top of that, we had our own entire entry control point, ECP, with roving controls. My point, getting into the building was only possible if you either had the badge for it or you blew a hole in it, nothing in between. At night, however, it was a ghost town. Usually only between 2 to 4 people. Still had roving patrols, but they were outside, and we never spoke to them unless there was a problem. It was a huge facility. One night, there's 3 of us working on the night shift, and we had an array of monitors in there that displayed live feeds from cameras all over the compound. It was one of those where it would show for about 10 seconds and flip to the next feed and roll through them all on repeat. One night, we had a call from the ECP. They had motion alarms going off in one of the equipment rooms, which means one of us had to go check it out. Lucky me, my supervisor sends me. I get to the equipment room, nobody in sight, so I pick up the phone. Call over to my supervisor and tell him nothing is in there. Then I call the ECP and ask them if they could see me on the feed. They respond with the following words. Yeah, we see you. I sort of looked up at the camera and tried to be nonchalant as I could and asked, where's the other guy? Hey, you 5 o'clock. Describe him to me. Can't make out his face, but about 6 feet. And BDUs. Looks like a lifter. Keep a note. At this point, BDUs had not been in uniform for around 4 years. At this point, I turn around and point and ask, right there? ECP confirms it. There's no fucking body there. I asked if they had spoken to the ops floor yet. They said no, so I hung up and called. I told my supervisor to look at the equipment room feed, and he just says, who the fuck is that? I just hung up the phone and bolted out and secured the door behind me, which was a 2,000-pound blast door. I got back to the ops floor. I was fully thinking they were fucking with me, but when I came through the door, security forces are already inside. My supervisor had called them in. So they go out there with me, behind them, because they still needed to be escorted. There's 3 guys with M4s out, and little old me, nothing but a leather man on my belt behind me. I re-access the equipment room door, and they go in. They eventually clear the room. Phone in the equipment room. I pick it up. There are motion alarms going off all over the facility now, all in places that have been fully sealed and secured for the night. We end up calling the main base command post to tell them that we may have a problem. Security forces spends the next hour and a half clearing the rest of the facility. At this point, we have already notified our commander and his staff. Everybody is tracking it. Unfortunately, the video feed didn't record at the time, so we had nothing to go back to re-review and see what they saw. But the ECP supervisor on duty and my supervisor, both E7s, had seen it. And the motion detection systems did record, and we were able to at least have it confirm something happened. Each alarm was on its own individual circuit and hardwired directly into ECP. No networks, nothing digital. 1 or 2 flip. I'm sorry. 1 or 2 flipping out? Fine. But there were over 30 that detected something moving around, to include the low sensitivity detectors. In order to trip those, you gotta have something large moving about. A human. Maybe even a medium-sized animal. All of this happened just after midnight, so we were stuck in this facility afterwards for about another 4 hours until the morning crew came in to relieve us. But because of everything that happened, we had to debrief the commander and his staff, so that meant we didn't get out of there until like 2 or 3 hours after a 12-hour shift ended. To this day, nobody knows what it was. Also, something that we didn't think about at the time, but that kind of makes me shiver now, these weren't low-quality cameras. They said they couldn't make out the face, but you could practically count the eyelashes on people's faces from 40 feet away with those cameras. They could see my face as clear as day, but they couldn't make out the other guys. This one is from No Tip 7398. So, this was fairly soon after I bought my house. Maybe back in spring of 2012, I think. I met this guy on Match.com. I don't remember his name now, but it was a really long time ago. All I remember about him was that he was a pet toy designer. Random. Anyway, we'd gone out on a couple of dates, and I was giving him a tour of my house. Something about me you should understand is that I talk. A lot. Laughed my ass off. Anyway, in hindsight, I should have anticipated that he was probably expecting a lot more than given the amount of time that we'd been seeing each other, and the fact that he was already getting a tour of my place. And, keep in mind, we ended up in my room, but I didn't. You know, it didn't cross my mind at that point. As evidenced by the fact that I kept running my mouth about whoever the fuck I was talking about. So, as we're sitting on my bed, all of a sudden, I just felt this really fucking sudden shift in energy from me. I felt like I was in danger. Like he meant to do me wrong. All of a sudden, the air felt very sinister. I felt like he was about to hurt me. I froze. I didn't know what to do, but I did know that I had a solid reason to be afraid, even if I didn't know why. Right at this exact moment, multiple things happened to me at once. One of my cats ran over from under my bed with her tail busted up and hissing. She ran out of my room. A massive gust of wind blew in through the open windows. It was late spring, so I had opened the windows on my second floor, of course keeping the screens in place, and blew a bunch of papers off my dresser. A loud bang came from downstairs. Followed by the sound of heavy footsteps. Think, large boots, large man. Running up the stairs in my house, making their way around the landing, and stopping at the bedroom door, which was open. Nobody was there. At this point, the guy jumps off my bed and is looking around like, what the fuck? And to be honest, same, because what was that? He yelled something about me having some kind of bad energy or some shit. Booked it out of my house. I never saw him. Never even heard from him again. Hold on. Hold on, people. Now we will continue. So I think this one was actually written by the same guy. Truth be told, I wasn't really a fan of his last one. But, I'm gonna try not to be this way, guys. Try to do right. I could just make my own noise. So, we'll continue. See, this is one thing about me is when I want to read the story. Obviously, I probably have to prepare a few stories ahead of time. I've seen now probably like 15, 20, maybe even 30. But I'm gonna have to review them because see, he goes from here to here, out of nowhere. He goes. When I was 7, I got home from school, I started walking up the stairs. As soon as my dad heard I was home, he shot up out the chair and rushed in his truck. He had always had angry rage episodes my whole life, but they were loud and in your face. This was different. It was like he was in a trance and he was super focused. I was freaked out. While on the main road, he turned his head and said something super ominous. It was vague, and I can't remember exactly what he said, but it made my stomach drop. A second later, he pulled into oncoming traffic, right in front of a huge semi-truck. Everything felt so fast, but right as I thought we were going to hit it, my dad yanked the steering wheel, and we were back on our side of the road. He was screaming and blaming me for it, but I don't remember what he was saying. I was completely frozen in fear. Felt like I had become a part of the seat, and I was out of my body. I didn't talk for 2 days. DV was a pretty normalized thing in my family growing up. This was the first time I actually thought he was going to kill me. My brain tried to forget it happened, but I never trusted or was comfortable around my dad again. It was like a demon possessed him. Okay, people. Maybe you guys would appreciate a few minutes ASMR, huh? Can I change my title while I'm still in the stream? sorry. I don't know what I'm going through. Give me 1 second, please. What are we thinking, everybody? Can somebody tell me in the chat? Would you agree with cutting the rain off and moving on to ASMR for a little bit? You know, me cutting your hair, clicking and tapping my controllers, such and such. Or you guys want me to continue reading? I'll continue reading if you guys feel up for it. It's up to you. This is the stream to sleep though. So whatever I can do to help you guys go to sleep, tell me. I will do it. Would anybody love some haircut ASMR? Haircut, mouth sounds, clicking, tapping, whispers, all that type of stuff. Would you guys look forward to some more horror stories? Yo, hello, everybody. Okay, I'm just making sure that is going on and y'all can hear me. I'm gonna continue forth with the ASMR. Hello. What's up, people? Hello, people. Hello, people. Hello, everybody. So, going forth on with the stream. We will be. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. I'm very uncomfortable. I'm trying to make this work in the best way possible. Alright. So look. Alright. Is that good? That's good. so we're done with the controller ASMR. And now, I'm sorry with my very harsh. We're done with the controller ASMR. Look at you. Excited, I'm about to give you guys a haircut. Yeah, I'm about to get you right, boy. Alright. So, for starters, we're gonna get you right, okay? Don't worry about that. That was nothing. That was your imagination. Okay, continue. Are you ready? 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 So, first things off, as you heard, we have some water. Going forth on from there, we're gonna brush in their hair. Goodness gracious, your hair is tangled, isn't it? So what have you been doing? Goodness. Stay still. What the fuck is wrong with you? Come into my barbershop like this? Are you serious? You know what? You're lucky. You're lucky you're trying to go to sleep. So, okay. Let's get these tangles out. Honestly, oh my goodness, wait. Your hair is stunning. Oh my gosh. Your hair is stunning, yo. It's glowing always. Ain't gonna lie, you're looking fire. Alright, now that we brushed all that nastiness out on the right side, let's get you left. scratched you back badly, but it's alright. We're gonna fix you today, okay? That's what you're here for. Okay. You still looking handsome, though. You gonna look good. You gonna have all the girls after this one. Alright. Let's get you to turn around real quick. Oh, that backside is ferocious, boy. They mess you up for real, but it's alright. Moving. I told you to stop moving. You don't listen. This is what's wrong with this generation, bro. They don't listen, bro. You tell them to stop moving, they fuck up their own hair. Now. I did. This much what you went through to the last barbers. That's when you became a Beyonce. What the hell happened to your hairline, boy? Oh, my last barber did me like this. Okay. Let's continue on. I can fix that. We get you right. Get you a little bossy fade. You feel me? Don't need trip about it, bro. I got you, bro. I promise. For anybody new, welcome. Are you all ready to? Are you all ready to? Are you all ready to sleep? Are you 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 ready? Are you ready to sleep? Good. Let's continue on. Alright. What you thinking? Okay. Yeah, looking good, ain't you? Okay. Alright. Let's clip those. Let's clip the hair up top. And let's clip the hair on the sides. And get the top, okay? Okay. Alright. Now that we've got you all pretty looking and everything, I'm about to get you right, my boy. Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. Before I started being a barber, I was homeless. I was a deadbeat. Let's continue on with the ASMR. Do not get distracted, okay? This is... yeah. Wait. Let's take one first. Alrighty. Let's get that hair out of your face, please. Okay. Perfect. You look gorgeous. I'm sorry. You just looking good. You looking so much better after the haircut. I'm just being honest. Alright. We're gonna get up close and personal with these, okay? Let's get you